Hey OK crew, and welcome back to another yoga class. Today we're really focusing on upper body, building strength in the upper body muscles so that when we come through our more challenging sequences and longer sequences, we're building up that tolerance, that endurance, and that strength to do these movements well. So I'll just begin in a cross-legged seated position. Again, if sitting cross-legged is uncomfortable for you, you can lean up against a wall or just find whatever is the most comfortable position for you where you're able to relax. So you have the option to keep your eyes open or let them close gently. And we're just going to begin by doing a body scan. Like we always do at the beginning of class, head to toe, seeing how the body feels so that we know when going into today's sequences just how hard we can push ourselves. So without trying to change the breath at all, just scan from head to toe, noticing how your neck is feeling, how your shoulders are feeling, really primarily paying attention to your upper body because that's where we are working the most today. Coming down through the arms and the chest, noticing how the breath moves in and out. Is it easy? Does it flow in nicely? Are you feeling a little bit difficult to move through the rib cage maybe or into the belly? And then finally coming down to our legs, so our hamstrings, our quads, our calves. How are your feet feeling? Just noticing how everything is feeling right now. And then you have the option to place your hands on your stomach, or maybe one on your stomach, one on your chest. And we'll go through a few rounds of our deep belly breathing. Again, drawing the air into the belly first, then up through the ribs, and lastly into the chest. And then exhaling, drawing everything back into the midline. So I'll count us through a count of 4. And then exhale, we're going to increase and exhale to a count of 5. So up till now we've been doing inhale for 4, exhale for 4. And now we're going to do inhale for 4, exhale for 5 to really draw out that breath. So begin for a count of 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more time. Inhale for a count of 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, to warm up the shoulders, we will need a strap. So if you need to pause the video to grab a belt or towel or anything, go grab that now, and then we'll all meet in a seated position. So again, with shoulder flossing, to warm up the shoulders here, we want to take a grip that's past shoulder width. Depending on how tight your shoulders are and your chest is, it will determine just how far you need to go. And then we're going to be moving fluidly through our shoulder range of motion. So on an inhale, drawing the strap up overhead, and then on an exhale, lowering it down beneath. But we want to make sure that the strap is tight enough that we're getting a nice stretch, but then loose enough that we're not breaking the elbow, so bending it, because we want them straight, so we don't want that break in the elbow. But we also don't want the chest pushing forward or hunching inwards to get around. So just kind of play with that placement. And we'll do a few rounds of this to warm up the shoulders. Again, this is predominantly a chest and shoulder workout, so that we're building strength and feeling more confident in our push-ups, our chaturangas, our downward dogs, so that our down dogs start to feel a bit easier and that we can start progressing to more challenging poses. But the first step is just building strength. And again, you can stop at any point that might feel a little bit sticky, hang out there a little bit more. Maybe move the strap around. Again, just feeling for what your body needs right now. Do this one last time. And then you can place the strap off to the side. You might need it later on for the cool down. So just make sure that it's still accessible. And then we'll all meet in tabletop position. And again, warming up the back with our ever favorite cat-cow. So start in the neutral position where the back and neck are long, shoulders are over top of wrists, and the hips over top of knees. On an inhale, begin to tilt the tailbone up towards the ceiling, belly sinks down, chest opens up, and head comes up last. And then on an exhale, the tailbone begins to round under. The belly draws up as we round through the spine. Trying to make space between the shoulder blades, and the head comes down last. Inhale through cow. Going at the pace of your own breath here, really trying to match up that movement. And exhaling through cat. We'll go through this one more time. Again, inhaling through cow pose. And exhaling through cat. Come back to a neutral spine and tuck your toes. Shift the weight into your hands, trying to protract your shoulders, so pushing your shoulders away from one another. Lift your knees away from the ground to come into bear pose. And we'll hold this for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then push your hips up and back into downward facing dog. We'll just be here for 2 breaths. And then begin to shift the weight back into your hands. We'll come through plank. You have the option to stay in this regular plank or come down to your knees, and we're going to come through some shoulder taps. So right hand lifts away from the mat to tap left shoulder, and then left hand taps right shoulder. We'll do this for 10, 9, 8. Try not to let your body sway too much. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Push your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Hold again for 2 breaths. We'll come into a dolphin pose. So in dolphin pose, forearms come down onto the mat. So your head's closer to the floor, but your lower half is the same as your downward facing dog. So still breathing here. And then push up back into your downward facing dog, and we'll come through puppy push-ups, which we have done before. So you might want to take a slightly wider stance with your hands here. And again, we're trying to draw our head down to the mat, lowering our elbows down as well, and pushing back up through. So lower the head down to the mat, push back through. For 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. Hold your downward facing dog. Shift your weight back into your hands coming through the plank. And then we're doing hip dips. So lower your hips down to the left, back up to center. Down to the right, back up to center. So 10, 9, keep pushing through your shoulders. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back to center and push your hips up and back into downward facing dog. You have the option to come through child's pose as well. We'll hold this for 5 breaths. Shift the weight into your hands. You might want to take a smaller grip here. Come down to your knees. Lower through your push-up into upward facing dog, then downward facing dog. Inhale to plank. Lower down to your knees. Come through your push-up. Upward facing dog. Through to downward facing dog. Back into push-up, close, or plank. Lower down to your knees. Come through your push-up. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Plank. Lower down to your knees. Come through your push-up. Upward facing dog. Straight into downward facing dog. Nice fluid motion. Plank, down to your knees, come through your push-up, upward facing to downward facing dog. Plank, to your knees, come through your push-up, upward facing, downward facing dog. 2 more times. Come through your plank, down to your knees, come through push-up, upward facing to downward facing dog. 1 last time. Plank, down to your knees, come through your push-up, upward facing, downward facing dog. Take a few breaths here. Come down into wide-legged child's pose. Give your arms a nice little rest here. And then when you're ready to start moving again, we'll all meet in plank. In plank pose, begin to walk your toes up towards your hands into a fold, and then walk your feet back out into a plank. Walk your feet in, walk your feet out. Back in, 8, and back out. In for 7, back out. Back in for 6, back out. In for 5, back out into your plank. Keep pushing between your hands. Walk back in for 4. Back out. Walk in for 3. Back out. 2 more. 2. Walk back out. And 1. Walk back out. Send your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Look between your hands. Step the feet up to the top of your mat into a forward fold. Place your hands on your shins or just above your knees. Push up to flat back. Exhale to forward fold. Hang here for a little bit. You can shake out the arms. Let your shoulders relax here. And then on strong legs, sweep your arms up overhead, palms touch, gaze follows. Exhale, palms to heart center. In Tadasana or mountain pose. Place your hands on your back, your low back, as if you're putting your hands into your back pockets. Try to draw elbows together. Slightly back bending, mostly coming from your upper chest, so not coming from your low back, but opening up your chest. Head and gaze can follow. And then exhale through to forward fold. Inhale through flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Plant your palms, step your feet back into high plank, high push-up. Option to come down to your knees or shift the weight into your hands. Lower all the way through push-up. Inhale through cobra or upward facing dog. And send your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Inhale, sweep your right foot up behind you. Exhale, step it between your hands and come up into Warrior 2. Begin with placing your hands on your hips. We're finishing with the challenger, so I need my timer. Inhale, sweep your arms up, gaze follows, and we're holding this. I'm not telling you for how long though, just hold. Be strong here, and use your breath to guide you. And I'll have some sort of pretty music in the background to hopefully distract you. Back to that belly breathing to slow your heart rate. The breath can be used as a good distraction sometimes. Keep your arms where they are, but switch feet. So now you're doing a Warrior 2 over your left foot. Don't let your arms drop. Stay strong. Keep your gaze over your middle finger. Maybe try lunging into that front leg a little bit deeper. Keep your neck and your jaw relaxed here. We're not shrugging up our shoulders. You're almost done. Try to go deeper in that lunge. We're almost there. All right, straighten your front leg, let your arms drop. Square back off to the center or the side wall and forward fold, wide leg forward folds. Let your arms lower down to the ground. You can take whatever movements you want, whether that be hands reaching for opposite shoulders, or maybe you just want to swing your arms around. Maybe you just want to stay still. You just held Warrior 2 arms for 2 minutes straight. So great job. Place your hands on your hips. Hinge up to flat back. Come all the way to stand. Turn your right leg to the front of the room and step up to the top of your mat into Tadasana. Go through one last sun salutation A. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Plant your palms. Step your feet back to high plank, high push-up. Option to lower down to your knees or shift the weight into your hands. Lower down through your push-up. Inhale to Cobra or Upward Facing Dog. Exhale to Downward Facing Dog. Take one deep inhale and exhale. Look between your hands and step your feet to the front of your mat to a forward fold. Inhale to flat back. Exhale, forward fold. And on a strong leg, sweep your arms up overhead, come to stand, palms touch. Exhale, palms to heart center. We'll all meet on the mat. And this is where we'll need a strap again, or potentially need a strap again. So we'll come into cow face pose, which we have done before. It's probably the weirdest name I've heard yet in yoga. And in cow face pose, there is like a proper seated position to be in. If it's uncomfortable for you though, take whatever is a comfortable position for you while seated on the ground. So your right knee will draw out in front of you and your foot's kind of coming towards your bum or your hip. And then your left leg will cross over top so that your knees are stacked and your feet are coming by your hips. So this is the placement of the legs. And then I'll show you how the arms are supposed to go facing the camera, and then I'll turn around to the back. So your left arm will come up overhead. We are drawing the hand down towards the back. So we're internally rotating because we're drawing the shoulder head in towards the chest. So we're making that space smaller. And we're turning our hand so that's pointing to the back of the room. And it will draw back down our back as if we're trying to scratch between our shoulder blades. And then our right hand is going to come out, again as if you're trying to draw your hand towards the back of the room. And it will go top of the hand, reaching up between your shoulder blades. So I'll turn so you can see what I mean. So top hand coming down, scratch the back, and then bottom hand is coming up like this. So I'm not able to reach my hands. So if you have really good shoulder and chest mobility and flexibility, then you'll probably be able to reach. But if you can't, that's where the strap comes in handy. So I like to place the strap in my upper hand, and then my lower hand can use that to kind of walk up the strap. So this is what we're going for. You're seated nice and tall, and we're stretching out the shoulders here. Taking those nice deep breaths to slow down the heart rate. Slowly release your grip. And then we'll switch our legs. So this time, left leg underneath, right leg over top. And the opposite arm will come up over top. So my right hand's coming up over top. My left hand's coming down the bottom. I need the strap here. And it's good to notice the differences in sides. My left side and right side are very, very different. Slowly release your grip. We won't need the strap anymore, so you can just place it off to the side. And then we'll come into a tabletop position. And it's called thread the needle. Again, we have done this pose. I'll turn to face the front just so you can see what I'm doing. Your left arm will sweep up overhead, and then as you exhale, you'll dive it underneath your right hand, drawing left ear and shoulder to the ground. And then just rest here. So your hips are staying up, but your ear and shoulder are down to the ground. If this position is uncomfortable for you, then you can just do the classic side arm stretch. You're doing a very similar stretch here. And then inhale, come back to your tabletop, and then right arm sweeps up overhead. Exhale, dive it underneath the left hand. Right ear and shoulder come to the ground. Inhale, push back up into tabletop. Knees come out, mat width apart. And then sit your hips down back towards your heels. Arms come out long. Forehead comes to the mat into child's pose. We'll finish with this pose here. If you would like to come into Shavasana, you are more than welcome. Or if this feels good and gives you a nice stretch for your shoulders and chest, then you can just stay here. Thank you for joining me today. Hope that you have a great rest of your day.